This is nuts. This is such a great example of everything that's going on in the video game space and society over the last few years. Flash, did you see the "It's Just Video Games" post over the weekend? Did you see the viral post?
Was it the one that was getting mad at Asmongold?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about the origins of this post first.
Well, last time, because I agree with Asmongold. Remember, I split the chat's thoughts on that when I said, let it fuck them all.
Right. So here's the original post. Asmongold hit the head on the nail about woke journalist. And this is what he said during his stream.
Look right here, and I'll show you. Like, people think I'm fucking crazy. I'm not. Look at this. People wonder, are tax dollars used to promote wokeness in video games? Answer is yes. USAID paid Politico millions of dollars a year to write pieces like this one, which promotes diversity and describes Gamergate as disinformation and harassment campaign. So this is the thing, guys. I want these people to suffer because that's what they did to me.
Hell!
I want to set an example. Get rid of these people. Put them like completely out of their jobs.
Yes.
Get rid of them. Make an example of them. Say, listen, this is what happens. Gamers rise up. What goes around? Yep. What goes around comes around. And we're coming. Look right here.
Okay, so let's start there. Flash, you obviously agree. I strongly agree. Very
Blabs
much
doesn't agree. She's against it.
Blabs, what are your thoughts on that?
I kind of disagree.
Okay, how so?
I don't think, well, it depends on the severity of everything. I don't think it's a blanket statement to agree with. What if somebody just is like, yeah, I agree with your statements, but they didn't actually do anything or cause harm to anybody else? Does that make sense?
Well, but they Asmongold has been the focal point. I mean, he's more or less the poster child for a lot of this. He's led the push for a lot of what's been going on in the gaming space, and people have gone after him directly. They have personally attacked him from a personal standpoint, from a financial standpoint. They've tried to get him canceled multiple times. And I got to be honest, I have no problem with him being sour about that. Zero problem with him being sour about it. And the whole eye for an eye thing. I don't think there's any issue with that at all.
They've come after me. I just had one come after me recently. That fucking punk. What is his name? I forget it, but he's a piece of shit too. And apparently I'm going to be in some CNN article too coming up. I had some guy from CNN hit me up. It's like, oh, okay. Well, I know this is wanting me to comment on his article. I said, fuck off. Welcome to Trump's America. And then I blocked him.
Good for you. Well, the response to this was pretty interesting. So we saw the response to this. This is from this person. Their name is Kazu. And they respond and says, you guys are genuinely so fucking pathetic. It's quite literally just video games. And this was quote tweeted. It has 9 million views. And they said, like, yes, you should care about your hobbies and advocate for things to not get censored or disrespected by suits who don't give a fuck about the hobby you celebrated. But celebrating people losing their jobs and pulling the "you should have left us gamers alone" shit is so embarrassing, man. And then we see the response to this is exactly what you'd expect. Disbrew says, and yet it was so important to be changed. Representation was important. Games changed society and had to be controlled. God forbid a game wasn't made for a female audience. Those pixel boobs are making me self-conscious. Nerf them. But now it's just a game. Nothing is ever just anything. And no one would ever talk no one would ever talk about it. It's gaming's popularity that gives it such power. The attention invested be the people involved. That's why scum were so desperate to control it. And we see the same argument always. It's not important. Why do you care so much? Well, it's not important. Why did you force the change of everything, right?
Yeah, I agree with those points.
Right.
But at the same time, I don't know, maybe everyone's gonna be like, oh, you're just a woman. But I don't know, like, if you're unfit for the job, then you shouldn't be in that job 100%. So that's my statement on it. I don't know if blanket statements are for everybody.
That's what Elon's doing. There's 300 people left at at the
Twitter?
USAID. 3,000 are now out of a job.
Yeah,
Right.
Well, they should go find
And
other
one of them
jobs,
that got
obviously.
fired. I was thinking about doing a video on this. Let me pull this up. Let me get this. One of them got fired, and she's very upset. But somebody pulled up one of her old tweets because she says several tweets where she's like, "Fuck capitalism. I wish I was I wish the country was communist so that my job was just kissing people on the forehead. Like all these people are commies. So I fuck them all. Fuck commies. Let's go back to hating communists. Can we do that? Can we hate communists again? Because we used to shame them and fuck them up all the time. That's how it should be.
Yeah, used to be. But it's interesting to see kind of the response to this.
Yeah, here you go.
Okay,
this is pretty much everybody in modern journalism. No matter if it's video games or whatever, they're all communists. Show this. Andy No pulled that up.
A former USAID funded employee whose job was cut when Doge audited government waste is revealing to be a far less activist. Erica Gibson, her took to X to lament how she now feels psychologically unwell and has no future prospects. Gibson previously posted photos of luxurious trips overseas with her job position. She most recently worked for at the DAI, a USAID-funded consulting company. So here's Erica Gibson over here, super lib white woman. I feel so psychologically unwell. 3 weeks ago, I was getting a raise and going to Columbia, and now I'm unemployed with zero job prospects because Apartheid Clyde and his army of YouTube educated 19-year-olds eliminated my entire field. I have no idea what to do with myself, and whenever I start wallowing in self-pity, I remember that I have it easy compared to the children all over the world who no longer have access to life-saving medicine. Oh, I see. That's what we're doing here. And then we have this where F your black squares, DC is under military occupation. This is what it looks like here. And under communism, my job would be to kiss everyone's forehead good morning and good night. Well, there we go. Standing next to Nancy Pelosi there. But the response to this initial post, I think, is you see this person says it brings me so much joy to see the tables turned. And this is in response to this person a few years ago says, it brings me so much joy to know that you feel like all your favorite hobbies are being stripped away from you. You will never get what you think you had back. And that's hilarious. These are the activists that we talk about. And this person says, it does bring me immense joy that adding queer black characters to games absolutely ruins your experience. I want everyone, every moment of a bigot's life to be miserable. All the hate you bring on us, and I hope it comes back to you threefold.
Like queer, what does that mean? Queer. No one cares about black characters in games. What does the queer thing mean? Because if it's LBGTQ, isn't it redundant? Because if queer is gay?
Well, I think
I don't understand. So what is queer?
I would say I don't know what queer is. I don't know, because queer is whatever you want it to be, just like a woman, Flash. We all understand that, right? This speaks to such a larger issue here, where these people are so broken. And you see this response here. It says it's just video games, says the rotten asshole, right? Well, then why did you bastard try so hard for a decade to change them in the first place? Video games are one of the greatest expressions of creativity, teamwork, talent, and art, and they truly influence culture. That's exactly why you assholes put so much effort in trying to hijack our hobby and shove your shitty politics and toxic transgender bullshit into them. Of course, now that you've lost the culture war, suddenly video games are, quote, no big deal. Stop belittling video games if they're inconsequential. Video games literally save lives. Shut the fuck up. I agree with Snow Area right here. What about you, Blabs?
Well, yeah, I obviously agree with what everyone's saying. People are like thinking I'm like, I'm pro all this stuff. That's never what I said.
I don't think so. Then we saw this, a quote tweet as well. It says, do you guys remember when Anita Sarkeesian and Zoe Quinn spoke to world leaders at the UN? Because it's quite literally just video games. Like the fact that these two people were speaking to the United Nations and got invited there over fucking video games. Like
I want to see my enemies driven before me, and I want to hear the lamentations of their women.
the lamentations of their women. Well, we also had this from Critical Drinker says, interesting how video games were so important to idiots like this until they got what they wanted. Now that their side is losing, they wheel out the old, it's just video games. Why do you care so much argument every single time? If it's just video games, why do you care so much? Why do you care so much? And we saw the stat recently. What was it, about 30% of the video game industry is like LGBTQ. It's like, that's not even close
games
to
are
real life.
shit.
Right. That's like not even close to real life at all. And of course we have Kirsha chiming in as well. Why do you care so much about a hobby that progressives have done everything they can do to co-op and destroy for years while doxing, lying, and insulting people? Just let them take your things and shut up about it. Right. Exactly. It's amazing to see the you guys are so fucking pathetic. Like, this is exactly the problem. The gaslighting is immense when it comes to this. It's amazing to see. I agree with Asmongold. Like, if somebody hits you, you hit back, and you hit back harder, and you fight. And going back to the original statement that Asmongold had, I think that he has every right to be pissed. Every right to be pissed, and he is 100% right. And that
we were too nice in 2016.
Oh yeah.
This time it's time to bring out the knife, the flamethrower, and burn all this shit down.
Yeah, and the gaming industry as a whole, it's going to be really hard to do that because it is grossly infected, and it's going to take time. But you got to take that scalpel and cut that shit out, man. And it's got to really, the video game industry has to be doged. Like, every company has to go in and has to be treated like X, and has to be treated like the United States government is saying right now. Go line by line and cut this shit out. Cut all the waste out. These $100 million games don't need to be $100 million games. Make them $20 million games. And you know what? They're going to be just fucking great. You know, you don't need a $500 million game. You know, you don't need 3,000 people working on one video game. It's so obvious. And if you have 3,000 people working on something, there's going to be some knuckleheads in there who are trying to force shit in there. You know, so yes.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Both of you. So you're saying about this all for one side of the aisle. Do you agree with everything you're saying for the same side of the aisle, of the people on the same side of the aisle trying to censor video games right now?
No, I don't agree with that.
No, not at all. No.
So everyone gets the same treatment. If you're shit, you're out.
I think that video games are they're like going to a sushi restaurant, right? You have so many different types of sushi. You don't have to like all of them, right? It's this wonderful opportunity to where everybody can have video game as an art, as a medium, give you so many opportunities to enjoy what you specifically want. If you want run and gun action games, awesome. If you want JRPGs, awesome. And in the Venn diagram of video, people who play video games, very little will cross over. But that's what makes gaming the most powerful medium in the world. It's not just, hey, True Lies is out and it made $1 billion, whatever. Pick a movie, right? There's a True Lies in every type of genre. That's what makes video games amazing. Is you can literally have anything you want, and it's all built around creativity. The problem is that while you have the opportunity to have whatever you want in games, this has trickled into games that have never had these issues before, these things before. So it's under the guise of progressivism. Look at how progressive we are, right? You know, why is there now a female lead in a game that never had, like, and the main male character is taking a back seat to it? Why has this character been gender swapped or race swapped? You know, it's just it's the exact same thing in movies.
That was my question. For some reason, chat's like flipping me saying I'm pro censorship now. That's not what my question was.
never
What the
said
fuck?
that.
No.
Like, they're like, oh, she's not bait. She doesn't want merit and everything. Like, what
I hate censorship.
Are you on?
I got shit on for getting mad about the Sonic censorship and that stupid Sonic Generations game. But apparently Sonic fans like censorship, so they were all for it.
Well,
game sold really well. Okay.
I think that you can absolutely have your voice heard, and the industry's gamers and customers as a whole spoke incredibly loud in 2024. And I think that has caused a shift in the gaming space, which you're not going to see it overnight. We've talked about this many, many times. You're going to see this shift over the next 2 or 3 years because they saw the reaction to things in 2024. And then something got greenlit based off that reaction. The same way, it's the same reason you saw games like Dustborn in 2024 was because that was a reaction to things that happened 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, in that case, 8 years earlier with the election of Donald Trump, right? That was the inspiration behind the game. It takes time, specifically when it comes to video games. This is not like the movie industry where things are shot in March and then it's released in November, right? These are long form projects that take years and years to produce. So I think you're going to start seeing a shift back to traditional thinking, probably 2027, 2028 in the video game space. And depending on how, we'll see how drastic of a shift that is. But it takes time. These are games that take, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year development cycles when it comes to AAA games. So
Blabs plays Dustborn.
Yeah, I'm kind of over it. They ask questions about people's opinions that just get trampled.
Hey, I had it on Saturday because I finally commented on that stupid fucking dragon. What is that? Kingdom Come Deliverance drama. No matter what side you're on.
Yeah,
I'm not on anybody's side with that one. I'm tired of talking about that game.
I know it's easy to look at the one comment, Blabs, or maybe two
There's
comments.
a lot, actually. I'll just hang out with the Rumble people. They're nice over there.
We have 2,600 people watching our show right now. There's probably going to be some people who disagree with you, and that's okay. It's okay. Victor says, Blabs, I understand your position, but you're failing the foundations of the paradox of intolerance. If you're tolerant of the intolerant.
I never said I was tolerant of the intolerant. My entire message has always been be careful of what you hate because you might become them.